Hey everybody, this is Sean with Tab Performance. Today I'm going to go through the installation process of the new Tab Performance Cat Delete system for the 2020 Indian Challenger. If you guys like what you see, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Instagram. The tools you will need for this job will be a ratchet, a 5 and 6 millimeter Allen, 15 millimeter socket, as well as a 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, and a 5/16 socket. Before we get into the install, this is the piece that we are replacing. The 2020 Indian Challengers have the catalytic converter located in the cross-under section. And again, that's this guy right here. So this new Tab Performance Cat Delete system is basically just replacing this cross-under section. The first step of the process, we need to remove the bags. To remove the bags, we actually have to remove our side covers because there is a wiring harness underneath here that we need to disconnect to get the bags off. There's one on this side, and you just pull the cover out of the little seats. Just pops right out. You have some little rivet things here on the cover. They seat into these little rubber boots on the bike. Get that out of the way. Here's the wiring harness we need to disconnect. Pulls right out. When that is off, we'll go to the other side and do the exact same thing. When we get the wires disconnected, we can go ahead and remove our bags. We open it up. We have 2 bolts that we need to take out. They require a 6 millimeter Allen. Okay, when the bags are off, we can go ahead and remove our mufflers. To do that, we have a 15 millimeter clamp on both the left and right mufflers. We also have our bracket here. These are a 1/2 inch on both sides. So you're gonna loosen the clamp, take out the bolts. On this right hand side, if you have an antenna, we have to back out the antenna. There is a net holding it on, it's a 5/16. So we're going to take out the antenna with the 5/16, loosen the clamp with the 15 millimeter, and then take out the bracket bolts that are a 1/2 inch. Now when we get this nut backed out, we want to keep track of the hardware that we take out. So we have the nut. Then we have a big washer, and then we have a smaller washer, and then we have the antenna wire itself. And then when we get that out, then we can back out the antenna. We want to keep track of that because if you put this back on and it's not in the right order, your radio might not work when you put everything back together. With the antenna out of the way, now I can loosen the clamp. When we get the last bolt out, there is a bracket that holds the antenna in place. Keep track of that. Slotted side goes on the bottom, the hole goes on the top. We'll reuse that later. When everything's loose, we can loosen our heat shield. The heat shield, it has a clamp that wraps around the neck of the exhaust, so we just need to loosen that. This is a 1/4 inch socket. With everything loosened up, we can now pull off the mufflers from both the right and the left hand side. With the mufflers off, we can remove our heat shield, just this back part. Don't need to worry about the front two. We have a hose clamp up here, and then we have a hose clamp down here where they connect to the front heat shields. We just need to loosen this top one. We need to back this bottom one all the way out. We have those loosened up. We can remove this. We also will want to remove the heat shield on the left-hand side part of the cross under. Same thing, just 2 clamps holding it on, 1/4 inch. And again, we can just loosen that one, slide it out. Okay, so here is the stock catalytic converter. This is what we're replacing. We will have this turbo clamp right here. It is a 5mm Allen to loosen that up. We're gonna reuse this, so just loosen this, slide it back, and then we have 2 more bolts holding it on the right-hand side right here. Same on the left-hand side. Back those all the way out, and then this thing will just drop right down. So we have the clamp here, the little housing, and then the gasket, and this will just seat right up against there, and then it compresses everything together when you tighten it. When you get that loosened, you can back out the 2 bolts holding it to the frame. There's a 1/2 inch bolt on this right hand side, back that out. Same thing on the left hand side. And there it is. When that is out, we can take the Tab Performance Cat Delete system. This is it right here. And this will just slide right back onto this stock head pipe. Slide it into position. Line up your bolt holes. Take your bolts that bolt to the frame. Right hand started. Move over to the left hand side to get the left hand side started. Alright, with those 2 bolts loosely fitted, I'm going to take the gasket, slide it into place, the retaining ring, and the clamp itself. Put it back into position. When you get the threads to catch, get it tightened down there, but not too tight, because you do want to adjust this to where this won't be in the way of your heat shield when we get that back on. When everything looks straight, go ahead and button it up. The clamp tightened, now we can go ahead and snug down our bolts that hold it onto the frame. Next, we can put our heat shields back on, same way we took them off. We didn't take this one all the way out. There's a little groove in this heat shield where that one sits in place. We will also reinstall the heat shield on the left-hand side. And again, we didn't take this one all the way off, so we can just slip it back over. We can leave this a little loose for now. We'll get our final fitment when we get the left-hand muffler back on. All right, with the heat shields back on, we can now go ahead and reinstall our mufflers. We do have the antenna bracket that we need to reinstall. before we put the bracket bolts in. So you can start this bottom one because this bottom piece has a slot. Start the bottom one. Get started, slide this in. And we can start the top one. When the right hand muffler is on, we do have to reinstall the antenna through the back side of the bracket. Take our antenna wire. We're gonna face there's two sides here. One's a flat side, one's got kind of sharp edges on one side. Take the side with sharp edges, put it towards the antenna, slide it over the antenna bolt. We have our small washer, big washer, then the nut, that tighten down, and we can move on to the left hand side. With the muffler in place, then we can go ahead and get our final fitment or heat shield on this side. Heat shield on, I can tighten down the clamp. On this right hand side, I can tighten the heat shield hose clamp to the muffler. When I do that, then I can go ahead and tighten down the clamp to the cat delete system. With everything tightened down, the heat shields, the exhaust clamps, the bracket bolts holding the new cat delete system onto the frame. When all that's tight, last step is going to be to install the bags. With the bags tightened, don't forget we do have to reinstall the wiring harness. Let's put it back into place. Make sure it seats. And that's connected. Install the side cover. So that's basically all there is to it. It's just a couple more bolts than doing a set of slip-ons. It's just the 2 extra bolts holding on the catalytic converter to the frame itself, the clamp up here. So it's very easy, very straightforward. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed.